Have you ever just sat and pondered the ideology of prostitution? The first few words that come to mind are probably disgusting, repulsive, disrespectful. But have you ever considered the benefits that America could seek if it were to become legalized and institutionalized? Did it ever occur to you that our economic value would increase substantially, or that the safety and health of others would be less at risk? If you haven't, today I'm going to be explaining to you about why you should. Having the right to do whatever you want with your own body is something I've always strongly believed in. So researching this topic was especially interesting for me. This would be a revolutionary move on America's end, not only for economic relief, but for social freedoms. And I'll be explaining to you why. Whether it's legal or not, it's happening every day. As it's an underground business, it's especially unsafe for the people working it, as they're being sold under somebody else or selling themselves. Without getting into any gender specifics, I'm going to be sharing a few statistics with you. According to sexcrimes.laws.com, 80% of people wish they could get out of it. On average, a prostitute gets beaten 12 times a year, 1 in every 490 are murdered, and they have unprotected sex at least 300 times a year. And just from that alone, 50% contract the HIV virus. So you're probably thinking, all right, why don't they get out of it? They chose this life for themselves. Well, this is true to an extent, unless they were kidnapped or forced into it. A lot of prostitutes did choose to go down this path. But interestingly enough, 40% of them started off as children who ran away from a bad home life, and adults that went into it felt they had nothing left for them. Justice.gov goes on to explain how pimps managed to get their prostitutes to develop Stockholm Syndrome, and they do this by rewarding them in things like clothes and food and freedom and love. And they also frequently change the environment on them, so they never quite know where they are and they never try to escape. If this is all you've ever known, or this is all you felt you had left, it'd be a little more difficult to get out of it than you think. As college students, we're constantly wrapped up in our own lives that we never for a second consider that this really is happening. We're so lucky to have the life we do, and most of us will probably never feel that this is an option that we need to take. What's important to remember is that these people are humans too, and a lot of them don't feel like they had anything left for them. We're so quick to judge the men and women who get into it, but we sympathize with the children so much. And why is that? They both have something in common. They either were forced to do it, or they ran away from something they didn't want to face anymore. And fear always leads to suppression. So now you're probably thinking, all right, we get it. It's a terrible thing, and we kind of already knew that before. What does this have to do with my life and well-being of others? Well, like I said before, our economic value would increase. According to Haviscope, which is a global black market information website, America makes up to $14.6 billion in sex trade a year. Imagine that, or even a number relatively close, being added to our GDP as it'd be a taxed institution, as well as the money we would save keeping over 80,000 people out of jail a year. Nevada is the only state that allows licensed brothels that test for STDs. Business Insider goes on to explain why it'd be observed as a safe and healthy profession and why it's considered that in Nevada. There'd be no more abuse between pimp and worker, as it'd be state licensed and monitored. More people would choose this than the underground route just because it's considered an actual occupation and there'd be a less sense of self-shame. The spread of disease would be minimized drastically. Nevada workers are actually tested monthly for syphilis and HIV and weekly for gonorrhea and chlamydia. More people will also be willing to practice safe sex because people won't be discouraged from using condoms, as now they're used as a case of evidence against them. Now picture this. Picture a world where people are able to do the oldest profession known to mankind and not get in trouble for it. Imagine a world where the choice is up to two consenting adults, and that's it. With all the problems that come with sex trafficking and the bad events that follow it, it's reassuring to see that there's something small you can do. I did bring out a packet or a plastic bag filled with the link that goes to an online petition that kind of gives you a briefing of the history and what it's planning on doing. I was going to pass it out, but I think maybe I'm going to email it just because it's easier to go straight from your computer and sign it than remember to look it up later. With the world that's constantly changing and becoming more open to choices for people, I'm eager to see where this goes. Let yourselves be able to say that you were on board before this was legal. Try and shine a light on the importance of it because it is important and impacts us more than you think. As people, it is our civic duty to stand together no matter what profession we choose.